Welcome, everybody. My name is Jamie Burris. Thank you for joining us. We are Anthem, and we are excited to talk to you about our Associate Resource Group journey. Today, we're going to talk to you a little bit about how we restructured over the last 12 months, and over the course of the agenda, you're going to hear from my fellow co-chairs, our Chief Diversity Officer, and our executive sponsors about how we came to be structured the way that we are. What we hope that you're going to take away from this is really be able to think about how we've identified 5 strong pillars that really dictate everything that we do in our ARG to create cohesion and consistency that aligns not only to our enterprise goals, but to the goals that we've identified for ourselves as well. So those 5 pillars you're going to hear about today are going to be about our associate engagement, our community outreach efforts, our health initiatives, marketing and branding our ARG, as well as leadership support. Now we're going to hear from our Chief Diversity Officer, Kim Drumgo, who will talk to us a little bit about Anthem and how we're structured here and the importance of having the support of an inclusion and diversity department that really values and upholds corporate support for our associate resource groups.
Historically, and in a general sense, associate resource groups are employee-led groups that aim to raise the awareness of obstacles facing people of a specific demographic. Resource groups focus on promoting a more inclusive workplace through career development, community engagement, and because we are a healthcare organization, a healthier workplace. We are also focused on being allies for each other and creating psychological safety, where we minimize the need for any associate to feel like they have to cover or hide who they are. And we'll continue to focus on these areas. However, at Anthem, we are taking our resource groups to the next level. We know that our diverse workforce represents experiences, backgrounds, and perspectives of our customers and the communities we serve. The level of innovation and partnership demonstrated by our Pride Resource Group has not only made a difference in our communities, but also how our associates view and create change for such an important part of our workforce. I've learned this quote from the Neuro Leadership Institute. If we aren't intentionally inclusive, we risk being unintentionally exclusive. Our goal at Anthem is to expect more of ourselves, and to intentionally build a diverse workforce where all of us are accepted for who we are, where we all feel like we belong and can perform our best.
Thank you, Kim. What a wonderful introduction into Anthem and our dedication towards inclusion and diversity. And for those of you joining us today, we assume you're here because you feel that there must be an opportunity for you to make a larger difference and how your resource group can make an impact at your organization. And traditionally, in most companies, those who help to lead ERGs are volunteers. And as often found in volunteer work, you can feel like you're doing too much and also not enough at the same time. So over the next few slides, I'd like to share how we started to look into the mirror and see how we could be the best version of ourselves as ARG leaders. And then throughout the rest of the presentation, we'll share how our structure has helped us to make an impact within Anthem. So employee resource groups have evolved beyond their original purpose of providing a safe space and community for underrepresented groups, and they're now embedded in core business outcomes. They've come a very long way from being supportive social networks to think tanks that can actually guide business strategy in concrete ways. So in this Out and Equal conference, you'll see an example after example on how Fortune 500 companies are looking to employee resource groups to identify innovative ways to drive business results through productive development, marketing to consumers, recruitment and retention, professional development, community outreach, and so much more. We wanted to position ourselves in our ARG to be trendsetters along with that innovative potential. Also, as I said before, we looked into the mirror and wanted to be proud of what we saw. And in addition, we started to ask ourselves these tough questions, which we knew we needed to ask. And we finally wanted to identify where we needed to be 5 to 10 years from now. So we started to create a strategy to get there. And then these are the steps we use to create cohesion amongst our team. And this process helped us to innovate pillars that we'll be sharing today. Please also note that we recommended creating pillars that work best for your organization type and structure. So step one starts by defining our ARG purpose and expectations. First, one of your leaders should be able to speak. Every one of your leaders need to be able to speak on your resource group purpose. If your team doesn't feel confident with your current purpose or charter statement, now might be the great time to review it as a team, and it might warrant updating to fit with your organization's strategic direction. Second, as resource group leaders, we recommend that you have an understanding of what your members want and expect. In our research, we learned that our members wanted an opportunity to do meaningful work, to have positive interactions and build relationships. They wanted to grow professionally and then finally to provide necessary resources and education to support the LGBTQ community. Third, we asked ourselves what we wanted as resource group leadership team. And in our brainstorming, we learned that we had a long way to go with driving LGBTQ visibility at Anthem, and we still do. Also offering cultural competency opportunities, strengthening inclusion for LGBT community by building opportunities for collaborations and partnerships. Fourth, we asked, what does the organization want us to do? And we learned that the company depends on us to build LGBTQ cultural awareness, support diversity and inclusion efforts across the Anthem movement, mentor and support our members in their careers in Anthem, and align our efforts to make a business impact. And then last, we identified all important stakeholders that were crucial to our strategy, and we identified what they should be getting from our program. So I'd challenge you to pause this video and make a list of the possible stakeholders that could benefit from your resource group, and then develop a contact list for your future references. Step two is about identifying your resource group current state. We began by identifying who our leaders and potential leaders were within our ARG. Some of the questions to ask yourselves are, who are we missing? Do we have a proper onboarding process? What roles are crucial to our success? Do you have clarified role descriptions? Do you have leaders who have the skill sets to create a crucial clarified strategy, such as a membership strategy or a communication strategy? And what is your short and long-term plan to expand the leadership team, also known as succession planning? Please note, we really want to enforce the importance of setting terms to your leadership positions so you can sustain high energy in your leadership team. No one should be leading the ERG for 4, 6, 8, 10 years in a row. Please leave room for others to make a difference. Also in step two, we took a looking glass to identify our existing culture. For you as leaders, let's start by asking how you feel about your work. Is it fun? Does it give you pride? Are you actually helping others? Do your members perceive your program as a value add to the company? And if the answers to some of those questions are no, then what do you need to do to start changing them to yeses? Also, when looking at your existing culture, you want to review how efficient you are. As volunteers, you cannot make this a second full-time job or you're going to burn out. To help improve efficiency in your volunteer roles, please ask yourself these questions to identify potential barriers. Do you have a formal process for important resource group functions? Do you have established timelines? Do you utilize partnerships for help? Do you have all the resources you need? And again, if you answer no to these questions, then you might want to make those some of the low-hanging fruit priorities that you target. And then finally, in step two, we ask that you identify your existing capacity. List all of the tools and resources you have available. This might include your email, website, social media. Do you have flyer templates, PowerPoint templates, other software that you can leverage? It's hard to build your execution strategy if you don't have an idea of the assets that you have at hand. In addition, we recommend you understand, do you know your budgetary limitations? And finally, list ways you can measure success of your resource group program. All right, now that your team has a better understanding of your resource group, you can start to create some of the role descriptions for your existing future team. And this will help you with recruitment as you promote these new role opportunities to your members. This year, I think we created over 10 new positions in our resource group, and we hope to expand that even more over the next 5 years. So by establishing roles, this creates opportunities for succession planning, professional development, and then listed on the slide are the basic elements that you should have in your role descriptions. Step 4. All right, so if your executive leaders haven't been part of your steps 1, 2, and 3, which we really hope they have been, but no worries, now's the final chance to attain their approval and get buy-in before you move into strategy execution. This slide shares how we defined the support we needed from our executive sponsors. Our areas of executive sponsor impact was vision, governance, value, and benefits, and professional development. And this would be another great opportunity to pause our workshop and list out what areas of impact your team would need from your executive sponsors. Do you have those listed out? Also on step 4, as we were building our strategy, we worked with our executive sponsors to identify their availability and their engagement commitment. On this slide, you can see some of the questions we reviewed with them. Fortunately, we lucked out with some pretty awesome executive sponsors. You're going to get to hear from them towards the end of our presentation today. You're definitely in for a treat. In step 5, you and your team should be more aligned and ready to execute your strategies to membership. The big mistake many resource group leaders make is to jump right into step number 5. You're really excited to grow your membership, to send newsletters, to develop committees, but without stopping to build team cohesion, you'll be doing yourself and your resource group a disservice. We recommend to set yourselves up for long-term success and building a culture that will sustain long after the time that you are their ERG leader. So here on this slide, I developed a checklist that you can use to make sure you and your team are ready before jumping in and executing. So after coming together and using our strategy roadmap process, we structured our resource groups to have 2 main sides. So we had the regional and state chapters that drive our connection strategy and work to enhance our culture of belonging. And then we also had our committees that provided an experience for our members to participate, get involved, make a difference for the LGBTQ community at Anthem. On the bottom of the slide, you can see our organizational chart. Our 2 amazing executive sponsors are Fran Gary and Brandy Johnson. And then you can also see that all 3 of us chairs have manage our own region of the country, as well as our own lane, focus lane for committees. I oversee all of our healthcare-facing committees. Jamie Burris oversees all of our associate-facing committees, and Hope Rivera oversees all of our community-facing committees, which we're going to go into deeper pretty soon. And then finally, we wanted to share some ways we measure success with our resource groups. On the left is how we define our member engagement levels. Level 1 are just our general members that read our newsletters and sign up to be a member. Level 2 are our general members that actually start to participate in our events. They might come to a webinar or lunch and learn. Level 3 are members who are active state chapter leaders or on an ARG committee. Level 4 are our committee and regional leaders. And then level 5 are the national chairs, our national leadership team members. And on the right, you can see some of the metrics that we started to capture this year. We'll use this as our baseline metrics to set longer term targets as well as annual goals. Membership growth, tracking also our membership engagement level, trying to get people from level 1 to level 2 and level 3 and on. Net Promoter Score that we do through an annual survey to all of our members nationally. We track the number of events offered annually, and then we measure the event participation as well. Now next, the amazing Jamie Burris will be sharing more about what she's accomplishing in our associate-facing lanes. Thank you.
So for associate engagement, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how we kind of fulfill 4 main goals. As an associate-facing arm, we created a number of committees that really go back to 4 main areas of focus, right? We are either providing a social connection and sense of belonging, we're helping with business support, so and acting on actual business strategy for Anthem itself. providing career development opportunities for associates, or providing some sort of resource support for our LGBT associates. So I'm going to start by talking to you a little bit about our committees first. We identified 6 committees that would be able to kind of hit all of those goals. First is book club. I think that one's pretty obvious. That is obviously with the goal of providing a sense of social connection. Internal partnerships and events really seeks to bridge us to other ARGs in our organization, as well as other enterprise initiatives via whether it be HR or IT, any fitness initiatives that are happening across the company. The goal really there is to make sure that Pride as an associate resource group is visible and creating more social awareness and things that the company is already doing. Our membership group obviously oversees a number of membership drives over the course of the year and keeps track of our data. Our professional development group is what really seeks to provide those career development opportunities. Our Safe Space program not only oversees our Alliance program we sponsor for the company, but has set forth a number of goals on improving the LGBT experience inside the company culture as well. And we'll hear a little bit more about how they do that later. And then our communications group is really a group of individuals, of designers, writers, and editors that really figure out how they can take everything all of our committees are doing, both in my area and my co-chair's area, and how we can deliver it to our associates in a way that is digestible, in a way that they can get to easily, and in a way that allows them to participate and raise their hand when they're ready to volunteer. And what's important to note here is our associate structure is not just these committees. You'll notice that all of these committees are national facing efforts, right? These touch our entire enterprise, and that goes a little ways, right, in establishing social connection and belonging. But what it lacks is that local peer-to-peer, face-to-face contact. And that looks a little different now that we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? But at the national and local level, we have regionalized so that our areas of focus locally align to our business. So our commercial health plans, our Medicaid health plans, our Medicare health plans, they're all situated in a regional structure. And so now too are our regional leads. And those folks really look at taking local groups in our state chapters and connecting them with one another at the local level. It may look like they are going to have a reading of one of our national book club readings together during their lunch. That may be something that they're utilizing from the national level and bringing it down local, or it may look like something they've built on their own in their grassroots area by, setting up a booth at their local Pride Parade or running together as a group in their local Rainbow 5K. So it's really important to us as an ARG that we distinguish between national and regional facing efforts for our associates so that we were hitting both across our organization geographically, but also at the grassroots level where people really can connect with one another at a more holistic level. So in terms of social connection and sense of belonging, I don't want to spend too much time on this because that's not all an associate resource group does, right? But it is a big part of it. And I will hit on a couple of things that I think we've done well in order to kind of bolster our associate sense of belonging since we've restructured. So at the national level, at the local level, we've done a number of social hours, especially in the midst of this pandemic. That's something that our local groups are still doing at the local level. They're having virtual social hours. We do a number of lunch and learns. And then our internal partnerships committee also is tasked with putting together ways that they can take national efforts and carry them down at the local level so that we're carrying through what we're putting out at the top down into our local sectors. The other thing I want to mention here is our corporate support tools that we utilize is crucial in creating a sense of belonging, in that if you don't have corporate backing and you're not using your corporate platforms, then these associates may have these resource groups, but they're not seeing themselves in the platforms that their corporation is supporting, right? So we do a really good job of trying to utilize what our corporation has given us in order to be visible on those platforms using our company intranet, using our internal SharePoint sites and our Microsoft Teams tools to really make sure that at the enterprise level, what our enterprise is pushing out, our LGBT associates see themselves and see our associate resource groups there as well. And then obviously we work really hard to make sure that we're forming connections with liaisons and sponsors from other areas of the business, which also helps create a sense of belonging in every sector, not just in a vacuum of our ARG specifically. I mentioned a little bit that business support is crucial. I think a recent Forbes article expressed that the importance of connecting ARGs to the business because it gives associates a voice and platform to influence processes like recruiting, career development, as well as business decisions like product launches and marketing strategies. And I cannot express enough how important this is. In the last 12 months, our ARG's restructure has really undergone a massive reformulation of how we think about how we engage with our business areas. We don't want to be a group that just exists for social connection. We want to make sure we have a seat at the table when it comes to updating our transition guidelines for transitioning associates, to enacting changes in our email signatures to make sure that pronouns are now a culturally and company-supported norm instead of a grassroots effort, to make sure that we are represented in our sexual harassment training and our new hire training, and that those things are getting updated regularly, not every 10 to 15 years, right? Our groups have also been valuable in putting together gender-neutral language, collateral, and resources for managers to use when having tough conversations. And we believe that it's these types of efforts that influence not only our internal culture, but external as well, right? So when we have a seat at those tables and we have those conversations with leaders around the business, we are being careful to make sure that we are representing ourselves in a way that allows Anthem to represent itself well as well. So in terms of partnership and sponsorship decisions, we are constantly encouraging our local and regional leaders to engage their local market leaders to talk about what events Anthem could participate in, to get their buy-in and their participation. So it's not just our resource group out there, right? It's a partnership between our resource group and our Medicaid teams and our marketing teams and a few of our IT folks, and everybody's out there together because it's one unified effort. And then the other thing that I think is important about business support is it really we try to increase our business acumen for our associates. So our professional development team, for example, has put together a number of resources that allow our associates to explore the different areas of the business and provide connections to them. And by increasing our members' business acumen in general, I think what we're doing is really going one step further in supporting our company's mission, vision, and values and their business strategy. I think career development kind of speaks for itself. I do want to mention, I think it goes without saying, right? Everybody knows that when you're part of a resource group, it looks good on a resume. It looks good in an interview. And when you can say you've developed some leadership skills by participating or volunteering in a resource group, that definitely helps with career advancement and mobility. However, I do think it's important to remember that that's not the point and the sole goal of an ARG. And I think it's important that we realize that we can provide career development opportunities and foster those things in addition to supporting career advancement, so that we are still at the heart of things, keeping our passion and our vision for our ARG and our associates at top of mind. So our career development group does a number of things that they put together in partnership with other ARGs and areas of the business. We put together mentorship opportunities, resume workshops, personal branding webinars. And I think at the heart of that, right, it allows our associates to participate at multiple levels. They can take on a leadership role, and they can oversee a committee, they can become a chapter lead and oversee an entire geographical area, or they can just participate in a resume workshop because they need a little help, and we've set them up with local leaders to do that at a specific time and given them the ability to do that. It also allows associates to gain greater visibility with and access to our senior executives. So at these network opportunities, at these events, when we're doing mentorships, when we're having resume workshops, we're not just connecting them to senior executives, we're also doing our due diligence to connect them to LGBT leaders and like-minded associates that have experience with these items, because they want to see themselves seen at the table as well, right? So once we go through this process of talent recruitment, it's really about upholding and really bolstering our talent management at the company for our LGBT associates as well. So that's what this group really focuses on. And obviously, things like this are always applicable to performance reviews. I think that goes without saying, but we do encourage our volunteers to really do this for the right reasons. And we provide a number of succession opportunities and training opportunities for the associates that need it to develop those skills. And the last thing I wanted to talk about with our associate engagement committees is we do provide resources, right? At the heart of things, whether it's at the local level from our local chapter leads or through our Safe Space Alliance program, we either connect with connect or have the ability to connect our associates with HR to mitigate bias conflicts, or to provide associates with local PFLAG support for associates that may need it. So at the heart of things, our group is not just something that provides resources for you as an individual in the workplace. We also strive to provide resources for you as an individual outside it as well.
Hello, everybody. I'm Hope Rivera, and I'm excited to share with you how to engage your resource group with community. You may be wondering, as Jamie was speaking, how do we organize all these efforts? And when I'm speaking about community outreach, I'm speaking about community internally with the resource groups and our associates. And then I'm also speaking to the community outreach in our local areas. How do our associates actually engage in the community base and where they live? So the first thing I want to go over is the agenda in our community outreach. Our talking points is to go over our community structure, how to build your team, taking some time to understand your resource group, and also providing a checklist. So when you're organizing community efforts, that you're staying on target and meeting deadlines. And then I'm going to talk also a little bit about our partnerships externally and speak a little bit more in detail. I'd like to talk a little bit about our community structure. Our community structure aligns with the Pride Associate Resource Group. We have an East Region, Central Region, and West Region. And within those regions, we have local events that are planned by the chapter lead, tracked, and in our participation. And also within those local regions, we have a virtual social hour internally. And one thing that we love to do is highlight those community events. And so it's important that it is important that our information about our community efforts get socialized within the enterprise. So in order to support your community structure, we need a team. So one of the things that we like to do is identify, stakeholders who can create and organize the community event. The very first thing I'd like to highlight is please allow time to plan. It takes quite a bit of effort to plan and organize different schedules as well as the event and what is needed for that event to be successful. So you would need a group of volunteers who have different specialty areas. I listed project manager, community lead. I think it's critical to have a marketing resource in order to show up as a unified community when you're being a part of this event. And then to ensure that all the registration is taken care of up front. And again, socializing the event is critical prior to the event to actually mobilize the troops, and then during the event to ensure that it's being socialized, and then afterwards make sure that it's sent to the communications team. And then, of course, we have some logistics that are related to a successful community event. It's critical to understand your resource group when you're organizing a community event. It's important to know what departments you are engaging with, as well as the business line. Here at Anthem, we have several healthcare business lines, and within each local area, they may be supporting different types of businesses as well as departments. So when you understand your resource group and who is where, you can actually create some volunteer opportunities for those who are specialized in that area. And it's also important to identify your work sites. Sometimes there can be an event that's a smaller venue and you might just identify the local office. If it's a larger venue that requires enterprise efforts, you might decide to work with corporate in communicating the needs of that actual event. So the other opportunity that we need to be aware of is obviously the logistics in the area and where to attend. We also want to identify whether this is a virtual event, because now this is going to be coming up more often versus on-site. And to take particular attention to who we're engaging with in terms of our leadership and who can we involve with our community opportunity as keynote speakers. So one way we can organize all the nuances that goes with bringing people together successfully is having a checklist. I mean, that might seem obvious, but oftentimes as you're working with different folks with different schedules and trying to meet deadlines, it's very important to allow enough time for planning. Obviously, you want to identify the date, the location of the event, have your point of contact. So if there's any questions during the planning phase, you have one person that you can contact with and making sure that everything goes as seamless as possible. Critical is to coordinate with your communications team, your marketing resources. In order to have a seamless event, it's critical to be organized. And so what we'd like to do is have a checklist and making sure that everybody is on point and on the same page. We identify the dates, the location of the event, point of contact for people who they would ask questions as far as logistics. And then you would want to coordinate with your communications team, marketing, I&D, and leadership. Obviously, it's critical also to have the logistics, have directions, have a map. What type of merchandise do you need? Identify where the booth is. So folks who are, if there's a booth in this event, you are able to manage who's going to be attending and have a schedule available so everybody knows when to show up and where to show up. And the other important factor when you have a community booth is, as I mentioned, organize that schedule for each volunteer. Make sure that it's cascaded out to the whole team so everybody knows who's going to be in charge when. And ahead of time to order banners or swag materials, anything that you would need. And also to ensure that you have a community contact. So when you're actually complete with the event, you can make sure that you're communicating out the participation level, who showed up, pictures, all those things that showcase the success of all the associates that showed up for the event. So while you're organizing your events, you might want to think about the community partnerships that you'd like to be involved with. What we do at Anthem is we have an enterprise partnerships with Out and Equal. We have a partnership with Trevor Project. We make sure that we're meeting the equality index every year. Now that's the bigger picture. You also want to ensure that the local region is also identifying opportunities in their area that resonates with the associates that would like to be involved inside the local community. And to go back to the structure, again, there's a higher level of community partnership that involves across the enterprise, and then of course a local presence.
Thank you so much, Hope. Our Anthem strategy is driven by our focus on achieving the following objectives: create the best healthcare value in our industry, excel at day-to-day execution, capitalize on new opportunities to drive growth. Our business strategy establishes a framework that yields tangible value for all constituents, including members, employers, healthcare professionals, associates, and shareholders. So as a healthcare-based organization, it's crucial for our Anthem Pride Resource Group to have a strategy in place to support LGBTQ healthcare. As a way to build our healthcare-facing committees, we first started by walking through our strategy roadmap process we developed that takes our committee members through 4 exploratory steps to identify prioritized focus areas. I wish we had the time to walk you through that process, but unfortunately, you'll need to attend that session with us next year. What I can share is we included a full internal and external assessment comparing our gaps and opportunities with the industry and competitors in regards to supporting the LGBTQ community in healthcare. And we're very excited with the progress we've made so far in our first year. There's over 13 million LGBTQ people in the United States, according to the UCLA Williams Institute. And our committees are positioning themselves to be in a place to support the business and engaging and supporting and retaining these members. From our efforts in the strategy roadmap process, here are the 4 committees we developed this year. First off, we have the Healthcare and Education and Training Committee that focuses on creating and leveraging and promoting LGBTQ healthcare education for our Anthem members and our associates. Our Healthcare Partnerships Committee focuses on leveraging partnerships with external organizations that provide exemplary services within LGBTQ healthcare. If that's you, please visit us in our booth, our virtual booth. Our Patient Experience Committee focuses on developing processes, recommendations, and resources to provide high-quality healthcare services that are specifically designed for LGBTQ people. And our brand new Foster Care Committee that just launched in June creates a place where Anthem's foster parents, adoptive parents, and kinship caregivers find and give support through networking resources and training. In addition to these descriptions, all of our committees are responsible for developing resources for our regional and state chapter leads to leverage. They also serve as think tank for collaboration opportunities with internal departments, and they create articles and healthcare events to be featured in our monthly newsletters. And as your committees progress, you'll start to see some intentional and non-intentional benefits to impact your organization's business. This year, I'm really proud to share our Education and Training Committee created a COVID-19 LGBT health disparity presentation that's being leveraged by our senior leaders to prioritize resource allocation to focus on improving these health disparities for our community. In addition, this work is being asked to be replicated for the African American, Latino, and disability resource groups, and we also created a new national council to support this intersectional work. Our Patient Experience Committee is working on using the 2020 Human Rights Campaign Transgender Toolkit to update our employee transition guidelines. And we're also using their Health Equality Index measures to innovate opportunities to improve patient access, member identification, non-discrimination policies, data collection, and to improve our staff training. Our LGBTQ Healthcare Partnerships Committee is focusing on prioritizing partnerships with other healthcare-related organizations who specialize on working with the LGBTQ population. And then finally, our Foster Care Committee is working with senior leadership, and they've been asked to the table by senior leadership. It's so exciting to innovate new benefit offerings for employees associated with foster care. It's really exciting stuff. So if your teams are accomplishing anything exciting, specifically in LGBTQ healthcare, we'd love for you to come share. Please visit us at our virtual booth. Next up, our fantastic executive sponsor, Brandy Johnson, will talk about our marketing and branding efforts. Take it away, Brandy.
Hi, my name is Brandy Johnson. I serve as the Regional Vice President of Medicaid Marketing, and I also served with this most talented group as an executive sponsor for the Pride Associate Resource Group. While some resource groups start as grassroots efforts, those that have the support of the company leadership can be most impactful. You've got to set the tone of inclusion early. Obviously, there must be buy-in from leadership, and you have to have a tenacious leadership base. But you should also ensure that you're recruiting your marketing and communications teams as an early stage collaborator. Effective groups are comprised of volunteers from all parts of the business and all communities. And there's significant intersectionality within those groups. This diversity, almost by nature, creates conflict, and those marketing and communication professionals can help connect the dots and facilitate to get to a common set of messages. They can help the resource group in distilling its brand and help the team create a meaningful value proposition. Now, there isn't necessarily a right formula for branding or structuring a resource group. They should be and are continuously evolving based on the volunteer base and the commitment of the organization. You've heard some examples earlier around structure. We've also changed our brand. Our group was previously labeled or branded as ANGLE, Associate Network for Gay and Lesbian Equality. And the group recognized that our name didn't reflect our updated charge to be welcoming, inclusive, and diverse. So we sought feedback from our member community. We voted on a new name that reflected our essence of promoting respect, individuality, diversity, and equality, which is Pride. This change has allowed us to be more accessible to our allies and champions for the community. We change as the community changes. One of the biggest benefits of resource groups is their power to connect people across physical offices and across organizational groups, because we're all in marketing, right? Resource groups can bring together employees at different levels across those departments, from home, from office, and help build a sense of community and belonging across the entire business. It's important that we build champions, though, at various levels. In June, we did a Safe Space Ally campaign, Jamie referenced earlier, where we posted an invitation on our company intranet site. We invited folks to add their signature to a virtual wall and send a strong message about respecting and valuing individuals from all backgrounds and walks of life. We had tremendous support across the company. We do similar events around other heritage celebrations and events. But the thing is, we're consistent with the messaging through the use of our intranet and our communications resources. We provide an opportunity to participate with parity. Resource groups have got to demonstrate that they are capable of impacting business in a tangible way. They're a business asset. They demonstrate their value in employee recruitment and retention, training and employee development, and as well as external brand enhancement and marketing. I just completed internal training around cultivating transgender inclusion. The subject was championed by our resource group and was developed for staff that interacts with our external members. Educating our staff around inclusive behaviors enables our members to get care that meet their needs and their expectations in the best way possible. Their satisfaction goes up, they get the care they need, and then they stay with us. Also, many of our corporate and government partners are now looking and asking about programs we have in place that engage with diverse communities. This inclusive approach helps us win business and expand that customer base. The best part of my job, though, is getting associates involved in the community. Fortunately, I work with a company that emphasizes the importance of volunteering. Our marketing teams hold events in part to create volunteer opportunities. The people we serve are diverse, as is our employee base. Leading, participating in, and supporting community events provides our most passionate advocates the opportunity to represent Anthem and improve their communities. There are no more effective channels to sell your company than passionate and committed staff. As such, I'm proud to work as part of Anthem and Pride. Finally, as you've gathered from the team, an integrated approach is imperative to a successful resource group. Within their presentations, Jamie, Hope, Michael, Kim, each touched on the importance of strong executive involvement. I'm going to wrap up with one more plug for executive level support. Backing from the executive team and having an executive champion does a number of things. First and foremost, it shows all employees and our customers the level of commitment of the company towards diversity and inclusion. At Anthem, we're focused on fostering deeper relationships and developing innovative solutions to meet critical needs for our stakeholders. And those stakeholders are our members, customers, care providers, and local communities. These local communities where we live and work are also where we serve others through the lens of inclusion, acceptance, and belonging. Our resource groups demonstrate that we mean what we say. Executive sponsors can help facilitate connections to other parts of the business and help the group and the company unite their momentum to achieving the company goals. This connection informs senior leadership on current issues and influences the vision of the company and its strategies. It goes without saying almost, we help provide funds needed for the resource group initiatives. And then we reinforce the overall culture of diversity inclusion, and we help bolster employee retention. I cannot stress enough how impactful it has been for Anthem to have consistent representation at the leadership level over the last decade. It has made Pride and the 8 other resource groups successful for our employees, for our external members, and for the communities we serve. As such, it has helped us meet our mission of improving lives and building a healthier and better America. Thank you for your time today. Enjoy the rest of the event. We hope to see you at our virtual booth.
Now, I'd just like to remind you all that if you have any questions about how we got to how our restructure was developed, about those strategy roadmap sessions Michael was talking about that all of our committees underwent, about any of our goal setting or any of the particulars about how we went through this in terms of change management, please, we encourage you to stop by and visit us at our Anthem virtual booth in the Engagement Center. We'd love to talk to you more about this at a more specific and granular level. And don't forget to stop and see us at our career fair. If you're interested in any Anthem career opportunities, we will have talent acquisition folks ready to talk to you. Thanks so much.